Happy Friday. Um, I'll just jump right in. I sent an email to the congregation yesterday about imaginings and hopes for our care team and inviting all of you to join in and participate in whatever way calls you. And I just want to talk about that for a moment. Um, I think one of the challenges of being a congregation our size, and I would have said this was true before the pandemic. I've said this. I've said this to congregational leaders for a long time now. One of our challenges is that we're big enough that it feels like there should be people doing enough people to do everything. So when you get an email about, hey, can you help out care team? I think a lot of people think, well, I'm not sure if I have time for that, and I'm sure someone else will do it. That enough other people do it. Probably lots of people will do it, and they'll have plenty. And but that's not always true. And it's part of the challenge is that we don't always lift up. I mean, I'm not going to send you 6 emails saying like, help, we need more. We consider the response to be information. Do we have enough people to do a thing or don't we? And also, let me just jump in and say, we just sent this yesterday. So I'm not talking about like that particular email and anything, I didn't expect 100 responses today. I'm just talking like sort of generally in that this has gone out. This is one of the reasons, though, that we've really liked using Sign Up Genius for things like, do we have enough people to have a gathering? Because Sign Up Genius lets you see, oh, well, no one has signed up. So you can't tell yourself that story of like, I'm sure they have enough appetizers or, so you can see. So I just want to lift that up to you. It's true at our congregation, the way it is everywhere in the world, that if there's something you want to see happen, that you want to see thrive, that you want to see survive, I think we all need to reflect seriously on that as like, sort of institutions in our world are changing. And that's part of that change is like, well, if there's not enough people to support this thing, then this thing isn't going to happen. We're seeing that with arts. We went through that with newspapers, right? We all thought like, oh, we don't have to pay for news anymore. And then we learned what happens to the quality of our news when we don't pay for it. And many of us, you turned around and pay now to support many different news outlets in order to support investigative journalism at the local level and the national level. So, yeah, so I just wanted to name that. And so that's point one. Point two is I can imagine having a lot of conversations with many of you about how you don't think you'd be good at home visitation or maybe even phone calls. We tell ourselves stories about and we have our experiences about what we're comfortable with. But what I want to lift up in particular about this ask, 2 things. One is that there'll be lots of support and training. One of the words I've used with congregants as we've developed these ideas is skillful, that we want to help cultivate our community so that we're skillful in how we offer care and support to each other. And part of that will be that those of you who are reaching out to people, whether going to their home or calling on the phone, will share stories and develop some thinking together about what tools are helpful in doing this kind of work. So there'll be lots of support, but the other piece is you get better with practice at things, and we're still in this post-pandemic time. So on the one hand, we've been back in person for almost a year at Chalice. Some of you returned to work and got back out in the world even earlier than that. And we're more comfortable than we were a year ago, but still sort of the sense of people feeling like, a little disconnected from each other, not always sure how to talk to each other. Maybe many of us feel a little more awkward than we used to. And so you tell yourself a story like, oh, I wouldn't be good at visiting people. And I just want to challenge that. Any of us can develop some more comfort around visiting and getting to know people we don't know. Again, we would develop some skills around that and maybe give suggested like questions or conversation topics. Before I was a minister, I wasn't a super outgoing person, and different people connect with me in different ways, but from my perspective, I feel comfortable talking to anyone. And so I really can observe that, like, oh, well, when you talk to people all the time, you develop stronger skills. It's like any kind of skill, you need to practice. So, let's practice on each other. Let's learn to be, comfortable conversationalists with each other. And, visiting people in their homes is like 50% about what you can offer them, but it's 50% about what they can offer you too. So there's much benefit and joy to be found in reaching out to other people. So I just wanted to name those things. If you saw that email but didn't have a chance to read it closely or thought to yourself, oh, I'll get back to that, I hope you'll make space for that. We're excited to get some new things going. And the third thing, the third point, everything at Chalice runs better the more people are involved. So if you think of a lot of our Sunday morning volunteer activities, like being a greeter, working to put out the coffee, bringing refreshments, you're going to start to be reminded that you can volunteer for children's religious education. All of those things run even better the more people are involved. So then, instead of feeling pressure about every Sunday, you can volunteer once a month or even once every 2 months when there's plenty of people involved. So that's particularly something I want to lift up for the home visitation program, because my hope is if we have like a good group of people, then you can start to, develop some sense of specialty. If you have been at the congregation a long time, and so you like to visit with our longtime members, if you're someone who's a parent who likes to visit with other people in that cohort, so then, we can pick and choose a little bit who you go and visit because there's enough people to share the visits we'd like to make. So all of these things are true for all of church life, and I'm lifting it up since we just sent out this message about imagine if everyone was on the care team, and we were just all visiting each other and reaching out to each other all the time. That is our hope and dream, whether you raise a hand to help on those teams or not. I hope we'll start to hear and talk about together all of the things that we can do to help hold each other, help each other feel connected. The pandemic has been so hard, and even before that, we know that the world was broken and hurting. Even people in our community can feel isolated and out of touch. So we don't want that to happen. So we need to all think of ourselves as offering care and support to each other, and we need to all think of ourselves as needing care and support from each other. So I hope to hear from you soon about how you'd like to get more involved, and I hope to see you on Sunday. Oh, a quick reminder, Sunday is a multi-generational service. I know you had one with Reverend Greg while I was gone, and so children are welcome at all of our services, but this is a service that's more interactive. We do some different things. There's not a sermon as the central point. So it was wonderful to have children back in service with us this past Sunday, and I hope we'll have a good and fun, joyful in-bulk celebration together Sunday morning. So I hope you have a good weekend. I hope to see you Sunday. Bye.